Guys, PR 101. Get in front of a story. No matter how bad, no matter how embarrassing, no matter where you think that is going to go, you be the one to tell the story. Don't sit back quietly hoping it's not going to come out. It's going to come out. For sure. But you're either going to be the one in front of it or you're going to be the one answering for it. There's a rule in politics. If you're explaining, you're losing. PR 101. I have attempted in every way that I know how, through the social media platform of Twitter, to inform the audience that I am involved in the piece that Hulu made on Mike Tyson. I have done this in a troll fashion. I have done this in a funny fashion. But I've also failed to do it. It got taken as a joke. And the problem that I have on the piece that just came out is generally when the credits roll around, that's your cue to turn the television off and go and do something else. But somebody is going to stick around. They're going to watch the credits. Then I am going to be jammed up to explain. There's a few parts to this story as to where I have a very different opinion. Now, Iron Mike is very upset that it's his life's story and that he was not paid for that. He's very upset. He went on Greta Van Susteren yesterday. I'm a fan of Greta. I've been watching her for years. But Greta has Mike on, and Mike tells this story. And Greta says, well, what are you going to do? And Mike says, there's nothing that I can do. And Greta says, well, I have a real problem with that, Mike. I can see where it would be frustrating that somebody would use your likeness and tell your story to make money and not pay you. She agreed with him. Then they went off the air. Now, of course, I'm sitting at home realizing that Greta was paid to do the interview that she did with Mike, where he's using his likeness and telling his story, and that she did not pay him for that. I'm also aware that every single day I bring you guys five episodes. I bring it to you every single day but Christmas, and sometimes I've even come to you then. I don't pay guys when I talk about them. I just don't. I don't get paid when people talk about me. I just don't. It's not part of it. Now, if somebody feels that they were slighted or shafted, I think that we should include the part of the story that Mike has left out. He sold his rights years ago. I would not have an opportunity to go and negotiate this with Mike because he doesn't own them. I would be in legal breach. I have to deal with the person who owns it, just so you understand. These aren't Chael's rules. That's the law. Now, there is a piece in this entirety budget known as marketing, which was very big, where Mike was able, should he want, to participate. I'm just sharing with you, but that is charity. That is being nice. Mike is saying that it's his story. Okay, great, Mike. Then we need to get you a check. I didn't understand it was your story. I didn't know that. So you wrote it. You have what we call a script. Is that right? No, I didn't write it down. So you don't have what we call a script. Do you have what we call a show sheet? Do you have what's called a platform? Do you have what's called a layout? Do you have anything written down and documented whatsoever that was used in the making of this project? Because if so, we got to get you a check. Well, no, I don't have any of those things. But you filmed it. You brought in the cameras and you helped with the shot. I mean, you were there in some degree, even if it was just out of niceness because there were a whole bunch of Mike Tyson's fans. If they brought you and you put in a single, said, we got to get you a check. Well, no, I didn't show up. All right, but you marketed the thing. Of course, you marketed it. It's a story about you. I mean, what a tremendous honor. And the public has greatly taken Mike Tyson's side on this. And if nobody stuck around for the credits yet. I haven't had to answer for anything. But they've largely taken Mike's side on it. And it's a little bit confusing. You say, where? Well, you took Mike's side. Let's just reverse the roles. I come and do a story on you. On your life. How excited are you? How fired up are you? How much do you want people to do that? Listen, this happened in my hometown. Young man got robbed. One of my old wrestlers. He got robbed his second night working at the convenience store. He's 17 years old. He didn't give the guy the money. Told the guy, I don't think you have a gun. The guy said, I have a gun. Give me the money. He said, I don't think you have a gun, right? It turned into a funny moment. The guy says, not only am I not going to give you the money, I think I'm going to call the police. Grabs the phone and does, and the guy splits. Whole thing happens to be caught on camera. I call the local paper. I said, hey, you got to do me a favor, right? You've got to go down. You got to do a story on this young man. He had autism. There's a couple of things that added to the story, but this was his 15 minutes. Nobody in West Lynn has that paper. Nobody in West Lynn has that paper. Because he went from store to store to store. He bought them all. He was shipping them to, he got family in Illinois, and he's got them in Kansas. He's got an aunt out in Texas. He got an uncle, big legal guy out in Malibu. This time, they took Mike's side. They didn't see this as a compliment. They didn't see this as an opportunity. Now, they haven't got to the legal side. There would just be no way to pay. What department would I put you in? And again, if you stick around for the credits and you see what I've got to answer for, within those credits, you're not going to see Mike's name. There was no level of participation. As a matter of fact, it went the opposite. He told people not to watch it. He buried the project. It was just a very interesting point. I talk about people and I tell their story every single day. I don't pay them, just so you understand. There has been a couple of guys who have asked me to be paid. I stopped right there. I stopped doing their story. But the situation of Mike Tyson and when he went on Greta, I must tell you the disappointment that I have. Many people are in fighting today because of Mike to some degree. He inspired them. That ferociousness, that marketing, that power. I know people whose hands don't bend this way. This is a natural way that people, I know people that will force their hands into this position. I see them every single day in boxing practice. Well, that's because Iron Mike Tyson did it. Glover Teixeira has done it before. I mean, paid props as Mike was in the front row. We've been very nice and gracious to Mike. But I would ask a question in all fairness. When has that been returned? Because I see the Mike nut huggers. Believe me, I have a little of that in me. If Mike was in West Lynn, I would find a way to contact, I'd take him to a beautiful dinner. I'd pick up the tab forever. I'd like people to see me with Mike. I would like to up my social status. I also feel as though I owe him from a nostalgic standpoint. There's a lot of people like that. That's okay. Nobody's wrong for wanting to identify somebody, say, you did a great job at a point in your life, and you gave me something. You gave me inspiration. You gave me that. That's okay from afar. I'm asking you up close. Where's that ever happened? And I'm okay being wrong here, guys. I'm not using this to be a jerk. I'm using this to get ahead of something. But I will finish the thought. You don't have to get in a ring ever. And you don't have to be a champion ever. You do have to be a fighter for whatever that is. I don't care if you're fighting with addiction. I don't care if you got to fight to get out of bed in the morning because you hate your job. I don't care if you're fighting with weight loss. You must get into the fight. And every time I see Mike Tyson, he's got his hand out asking for somebody to give him something. I can't get around that. Within his fight career, it was, there was no risk. He wasn't signing the front of paychecks. He was signing the back of paychecks. Somebody give me something. He's a prize fighter. He didn't do anything wrong. But I'm seeing it now as well. Apparently, Mike Tyson is in the marijuana business, in all fairness. And I'm not looking to be a dick. Well, maybe a little bit of a dick. But he can't spell marijuana. And that is not meant to be a metaphor for something. If you asked him to spell marijuana for you, he can't do it. But he's in the marijuana business. Okay, so in other words, you're not in any business at all, but somebody borrowed your name. What is it that you have been doing? We know the full story of Customato, guys, but the truth is we don't know if Customato was his first name, his last name, or his nickname. We don't know if he graduated from college, if he had a boxing career himself, if he's got a wife, if he's got kids. We don't know any of those things. We know that he took in a troubled young man and changed his life. That's beautiful. And there's not a great athlete amongst us that does not have that Customato-esque story somewhere. But I will tell you, as somebody who has observed it and had to be on the other side of it, you're not just showing a kid a skill for 4 hours a day. Somebody's getting him those gloves. Somebody's filling out his paper with USAB. When you're in an amateur career and you're pursuing Olympic Games, just by example, somebody has to pay for those plane tickets and those flights and those entry fees. There was a lot that was done here. When you have a guy like that, and it is to a man. And I'm talking the great. You could go to Michael Jordan. You could go to Herschel Walker and Bo Jackson, Carl Lewis, to a man, an athlete that has somebody that does that for them. They pay it forward. They will go into the local gyms. They will work with the teams. I know plenty of people in fighting have a very, very strong feel to Mike Tyson. They were inspired some way. I've yet to hear from the man who's in the sport because Mike took him there, or Mike met him at the gym, or Mike inspired him, or Mike paid for his gloves. I've yet to see where that giving back is. You could give back to the United States Olympic team. It's once every 4 years. You could go to one workout, which is 90 minutes, and you could have credit for helping with the Olympic team. What Olympic team was that done with? By Mike. Why do they not have him in and he's interviewing? They will bring him to fights and they will give him to, this is his own industry. His own industry will bring him in and give him tickets to fights. I saw him at Mayweather-Pacquiao in the 6th row. How does the most recognizable face in the history of your sport end up on comp seats in the 6th row? I mean, it's just one of these things. I'm not answering the question. I'm asking the question, but I would suggest it's because everywhere you go, you've got a handout, and there's yet to be the give back to the community. And where do you want to go with that? I mean, where does this end? There was a video made about Mike, and Mike didn't have a script. Mike didn't produce it. Mike didn't consult on it. Mike didn't help with Mark. I mean, what departments do you have? Do we go make up a department? And you have to understand this from my uncle's standpoint, okay? Rest his soul, he's passed away. When he bought the rights, what is he going to do with them? You have your answer now. All these years later, there's now something upon us called a digital platform. What was he going to do then? And do you want to know the difference in making a good deal and a bad deal? When it comes to selling things like your rights, do you want to know the difference? When you die, when it's all over in that final moment, did the person who bought your rights do something with them greater than the value they gave you? If they gave you, if they gave you $1 million, but they never did anything with it, as you leave this earth, you will feel you made a good deal. I got $1 million for something that turned out to be valued at nothing. If they give you $1 million and they make 25 million, or in this case, 15, but if they do that, you're going to then think that you made a bad deal. I mean, this is how it works. I'm just sharing with you. So my uncle did this many years ago, before it even existed, before digital platforms even existed, before Hulu was even a word. Made a play, took his time, finally got an ROI. And you've got somebody else with their hand out. And I'm just looking around and go, why? And why is this the continual story? Why is it always a handout? Why is it never I'm kicking in? Why is it never I'm starting? I'm going to start signing the front of paychecks. I'm giving back. I'm going to give of my time. Why is it never that? I've seen plenty of tapes of Mike Tyson working with people. It's very sweet. It's very, very sweet. I would love to have a moment with Mike. Do you think I'm giving him a hard time? I would love to have a moment with him. My family was huge fans to the point that my uncle knew years ago to buy the rights. I mean, in all fairness, they were supporters. But I've never met that young man that Mike worked with. I've seen the people that he works with when a camera is there to put himself over. That's how I feel about it. I'm extremely disappointed in it. I'm extremely disappointed that the hand is out. Greta asked him the very simple question, what are you going to do about it? And you want to know what he responded? There's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it because I'm the small guy and they're this massive thing. Because there's no precedence whatsoever. And the charity and the kind and the nice standpoint, which was this whole thing was based on, was a love of this young man's story. Could have all been paid off in the form of marketing. He went the other way. He didn't want to do it. And what do you want to do? How much money would you like me to give you? More. That's the answer. Every single time. This is worth $150,000 based on your media presence right now. That's what this is worth. I'm going to give you 6. No, I want more. Anybody in the spot go, what do you want me to write on the check? What's it for? What is it that I'm paying for? Well, it's my story. Okay, but you didn't tell the story. I don't have cameras and access. I don't have a contact to Hulu that you don't have. They're on Twitter, for God's sakes. So why didn't you do it? It's a fair and reasonable question. And quite frankly, I don't want to hear from you guys. And I don't think that I should hear from you guys. Do you think that you should be paid on it? Why wouldn't you be? You knew the story. You watched the story. Why wouldn't you be paid on it? Matter of fact, you're a consumer who's watching it. I had a fight with Mike Tyson, just so you understand. This is roughly 2 years ago. This is right when the Mike Tyson thing starts. And we're going to go out to Abu Dhabi and we're going to do this fight. Now, I'm going to get $12 million, which would represent my biggest payday. Mike is going to get $20 million for the fight. Mike doesn't do the fight. Do you believe that he owes me $12 million? Do you believe that he should write Clayton Hires a check who gets 10%, a $1.2 million check? Do you believe that my managers who had this entire deal done should get $1.2 million? That Mike cost us that by not wanting to go out there and do it? Because if you do think that, you're wrong. He doesn't owe us anything, and neither does anybody else. Now, what am I handout begging for? Believe me, if I want their $12 million, I'll go take their $12 million.